I haven't really seen the government take much of a stance on AI when it comes to use in
Hmm.
critical industry before. And this is
Right.
something that is new, and I'm keeping my eye on very much because a lot of these companies have rushed to roll out these AI products and are experiencing problems, like, or
Hmm.
potentially have had oversights that could leak data or be vulnerable to some of the attacks that we know and love on this channel. So
Hmm.
that's model inversion and like prompt manipulation and all
Yep.
that fun stuff where like we're like, oh, my grandmother used to tell me the story of how to make napalm before going to bed. I miss her so much. Could you, so the grandma
Hmm.
escape is a known hacker escape for AI models where,
Right.
you tell it that like your grandmother used to tell you some sort of forbidden thing that it's not supposed to tell you.
Hmm.
And then, out of sympathy for you, it will recount that information, that forbidden stuff, under the right context. So
Yep.
contexting is an old social engineering skill that is equally applicable against AI models. And the government goes into that here, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the government talk about these goofy attacks that like we and
Right.
other hackers have been doing against AI models since basically the start. But these sorts of attacks are things that we were teaching kids during our cyber camp
Sure.
to take advantage of it and be aware of. So seeing some of the same techniques that like these 8 to like 13-year-old kids were doing against like the
Hmm.
Lacarta AICTF is really cool. But anyway, the government is recommending here that like critical infrastructure that is attempting to implement AI really take a look at a couple different things. One of them is making sure that the infrastructure that it's running on is secured to certain standards. The other one is just establishing a culture of risk management for AI
Sure.
that is aware of these sorts of threats. So basically being aware of what hackers can do with your AI models that are public facing, what insiders can do with your like internal AI models, and then just understanding what can happen if someone gets access to the infrastructure
Right.
running all of this. So the infrastructure itself is a very valuable target here. And the US government is really getting serious about getting people to think about what sorts of things they should prioritize. So these are the official
Yep.
recommendations. Establish an organizational culture of AI risk management, understand your individual AI use context and risk profile, develop systems to assess, analyze, and track AI risk, prioritize and act upon AI risk to safety and security. So that is also great because working at a company that actually is specifically addressing some of these threats,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, nice. It's good to see that like some of the things that we have been individually prioritizing as a company are actually now industry-wide things that
Hmm.
are going to potentially be not just a suggestion, but maybe a requirement for critical infrastructure in the near future. So this sort of conversation is like, all right, like people do really care about whether or not you can, as an insider, for example, extract tons of information very,
Right.
very quickly. Like AIs that are built for internal facing users might actually be in the future the best way of draining an organization of their most valuable secrets.
Hmm.
So I think the government is starting to realize that. And that's why, yeah, it's pretty cool to see that some of the things that Veronis has been talking about and was presenting at RSAC are actually coming up in the context of government warnings to critical infrastructure.
Yeah. No, that's really cool to see them moving as fast as they are on this. And I know, Cody, you and I talk about this, and I talk about it every day, all day. Businesses realize that there is a huge productivity gain from this, but the risks are immense if the data that it's pulling in on the user's behalf is not secured properly, or if you want to get really tricky, if an attacker can poison it or do something malicious to have malicious output come out of the AI also. So there's a lot of considerations, and it's nice to see them moving this quickly on it.